People from two nations that have shared tensions and conflict over the years. To talk more about all of this, I'm now joined by Margaret Bunham. She is a professor at Northeastern University. She joins us live from New Orleans. Frame this for us, the significance of selecting an activist from both Pakistan and India. Of course, Nathan's already talking about the symbolism, but this is both of these countries, rather long and troubled history.
It has been, and I think there are three, key aspects to the awarding of the prize to these two individuals. In the first place, it signifies the shift of the human rights movement, which has really been Eurocentric for so long, to the global South. So here you have two organizers, two of very different stripes, two of very different modes of organizing, but both from the global South. And it indicates that the creativity, the magnetism, the sort of international power of the human rights movement is now in the global South. With respect to these two individuals, it also signifies the significance. It champions the organizing imperative, what I call the organizing imperative, because they both bring different organizing styles to the table. Certainly as far as Satyarthi is concerned, he does follow in the tradition of Gandhi, of passive non-resistance, but it's active, it's confronting the state. And with Malala, she gives children voice, and she says that children have agency, they have power, they have the ability to learn and to fight and struggle and identify their rights. And so it really does, I think, indicate a shift in our human rights arena.
Let me ask you this, where do you place them? I mean, there's been so many people that have won this award over the years. Obviously, she will go down in history as the youngest ever to win it, but place them in that history, if you will, these two individuals.
I think they both bring enormous, unique strengths and creativity to the pantheon of human rights activists, some of whom have been recognized by the Nobel Prize, and some of whom have struggled on for decades in their locations, in their regions, without public acknowledgement. So in bringing Satyarthi to the international platform, it does say to all of those who are working in local areas that change can come, big change can come. For Satyarthi, the change is the complete eradication of child labor. He marks that as a achievable goal for humankind. And for Malala, of course, it's education, and particularly the education of girls. And these two issues will now be, because of, or importantly, advanced, particularly because of the Nobel Awards, they will now be front and center on the human rights agenda.
What do you think the reaction is going to be within Pakistan, India, global reaction, the impact?
The reaction to date in Pakistan and India, both in Pakistan and India, has been absolutely thrilled. They've been thrilled. The PMs of both of those countries have come out and embraced their countrymen and have embraced the signal that the Nobel Peace Prize Committee has sent, that it's time for the tensions between those two countries as well to shift and to focus more on the problems that we as human citizens, as world citizens, have in common, rather than on those that divide us. And so the prize really speaks to tensions and conflict and their consequences for children, not only in India and Pakistan, but in Nigeria, where in May 200 girls disappeared from their school, in Syria, in Israel and Palestine. In all of these places of tension, children have been the victims. And the awarding of the prize to these two champions of children's rights really does, I think, mark a new era in human rights activism.
Margaret, you're a college professor, so I want to get your thoughts on this, and maybe an oddball question, but can you peak too early in life? I mean, you work with college students all the time. This young girl has done so much, and as Nathan pointed out, she's a pretty good student. She doesn't want to miss any classes. Is there going to be a point in time where maybe she's putting too much pressure on herself? How do you make that next step in life?
She has been very fortunate that she survived. First of all, that she survived an assassination attempt. She came to her organizing long before she came to public recognition. She was organizing in the Swat Valley in Pakistan for years before she actually came to public recognition on account of the attack on her life. She has an incredible presence and vision and perseverance. And yes, she is young, but what she's done is she's provided a model for young people all over the world that they can change the world, that the world is actually in their hands, that they're capable of change. We've had that in our own country. We had a civil rights movement that was led by, in the United States, we had a civil rights movement that was led by young people. Historically, it is young people who are willing to take the risks, who are willing to stand up and fight for change, and who have this fearless sense that that the power is in their hands to do so. And so, to that extent, she represents millions of people, millions of young people all around the world who see change on the horizon. And she's gone out there and she's tried to grab it. And to the rest of the world, we say hooray.
Margaret, well put. Thanks so much for joining us from New Orleans.